Look at you, standing there after everything tried to erase you from existence, after the world threw its worst at you and sat back waiting for you to disappear. But here you are, breathing, existing, refusing to vanish like they all predicted you would. Welcome back to the surface. Welcome back to the war. Except you're not the same person who got buried alive, are you? No, no, no. You're something they don't have a classification for anymore. You're the one who touched the thing that incinerates 99% of people who get near it. And you didn't just survive it. You absorbed it. You weaponized it. You turned the curse into ammunition. And now you walk through this world with a skeleton made of steel and skin that doesn't burn anymore. If you've been through hell and came back different, hit that subscribe button right now, because this channel is for the ones who refused to stay dead. Drop a comment and tell me what tried to kill you and failed. Your story is proof. This community needs to see it. Now let's go deeper. Do you feel it yet? That heaviness in your chest that used to be terror, but now feels like armor plating. That's immunity, my friend. Not just to the thing that tried to end you, but to everything that comes after it. Let's talk about what really happened, because they don't want you to know the truth. They don't want you to realize that the nightmare you went through was actually a filter, a brutal sorting mechanism designed to separate the mortals from the gods. You touched something most people don't survive. Maybe it was betrayal so deep it rewired your entire nervous system, and now you can smell lies before people open their mouths. Maybe it was loss so catastrophic it shattered your concept of safety, and now you trust nothing except your own two hands. Maybe it was isolation so complete you had full conversations with the walls just to remember what human connection felt like. Maybe it was sickness that put you flat on your back for months, staring at the ceiling, negotiating with death, wondering if your body would remember how to function. Whatever it was fatal to most people. It murdered their hope, it killed their trust, it destroyed their ability to stand up and fight again. But you metabolized the poison. You broke down the toxins at the molecular level and rebuilt yourself, cell by cell, into something they can't categorize anymore. They watched you during the collapse, didn't they? Oh yes, they watched. They came around with their worried faces and their useless offers of help, secretly praying you'd break completely so they could feel superior about their own weakness. They wanted you to shatter in a way that made sense, in a way they could understand, in a way that kept you beneath them on the hierarchy. But you didn't break the way they expected. You fractured in dimensions they couldn't perceive. You shattered across frequencies they couldn't hear. And when you put yourself back together, when you crawled out of that grave with new eyes and a new operating system, they realized something that terrified them to their core. You weren't weaker, you were militarized. You weren't damaged, you were enhanced. You weren't a victim anymore. You were a cautionary tale walking around in human skin. A warning label for anyone stupid enough to underestimate someone who's already been erased once and chose to rewrite themselves. Let me tell you what immunity actually means, because it's not what they taught you in school. Immunity means you don't react anymore to the things that used to obliterate you. It means betrayal doesn't destroy you anymore, because you've been backstabbed by everyone who mattered, and you're still standing here. It means abandonment doesn't scare you anymore, because you've been left alone in complete darkness, and you learn to generate your own light from nothing. It means rejection doesn't wound you anymore, because you've been rejected by existence itself, and you responded by building your own universe. You're not numb. Don't confuse immunity with numbness. Numbness is death pretending to protect you. Immunity is intelligence. It's your system recognizing a threat from across the room and neutralizing it before it gets anywhere near your heart. You feel everything, but nothing owns you anymore. That's the difference between someone who survived and someone who evolved into something new. Now they're watching you move through the world and they can't make sense of it. They're asking each other in whispers, how are they so calm? How are they so unaffected? Why don't they react like they used to? They poke and prod, trying to activate the old version of you. But that version is dead, buried 6 feet under the person you are now. They want you anxious because your peace terrifies them. They want you desperate because your self-sufficiency threatens their control. They want you loud because your silence forces them to hear the screaming inside their own heads. But you've stopped performing for them. You've stopped explaining yourself. You've stopped defending your right to exist to people who were never qualified to judge you in the first place. You've survived something that statistically should have ended you. And now you carry the kind of calm that only comes from knowing you've already been through the absolute worst. What can they do to you now? What can they threaten you with? What can they take that hasn't already been ripped away and scattered? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And that makes you the most dangerous person in any room you walk into. Here's what they don't tell you about surviving the unsurvivable. It doesn't just make you stronger in some vague, inspirational poster kind of way. It fundamentally rewrites your entire operating system. Your threat detection becomes supernatural. You can feel dishonesty before the words leave their mouth. You can sense hidden agendas before they're revealed. You can detect false energy from 3 buildings away. Your body remembers the signature of betrayal, the frequency of manipulation, the texture of fake promises. And now it alerts you before your brain even processes what's happening. You get a feeling, a tightness in your gut, a whisper from somewhere ancient. And you just know. And because you know, you move different, you speak different, you choose different. You don't waste time on people auditioning for roles in your life they're not qualified to play. You don't invest energy in situations your instincts have already flagged as contaminated. You've developed an immune response to toxicity that runs automatically, efficiently, ruthlessly. Most people spend their whole lives learning to ignore their instincts. You spent your darkest days learning to obey them like gospel. Let's go deeper into the sickness you survived, because naming it strips it of power over you. And you need to understand what you conquered. Maybe it was the sickness of loving someone incapable of loving you back, and you poured yourself into that black hole until you were a ghost of who you used to be. Maybe it was the sickness of existing in an environment that poisoned everything good inside you until you couldn't recognize your own reflection in the mirror. Maybe it was the sickness of carrying everyone else's weight until your spine cracked and you learned what it means to be crushed alive by other people's problems. Maybe it was the sickness of perfectionism that turned every mistake into a death sentence and every failure into proof you didn't deserve to breathe. Maybe it was actual physical sickness that ate your body alive while everyone around you minimized your suffering and told you to just push through it. Whatever shape it took, it was lethal. It killed your innocence. It murdered your naivety. It destroyed the part of you that believed the world was fair and people were good and hard work guaranteed results. And those deaths were necessary because that version of you was too soft for what's coming next. That version of you would never survive the levels you're about to reach. You know what's beautiful about immunity? It's not just defense, it's offense. You're not just protected from the sickness. You're carrying antibodies that can neutralize it in others. People come to you now different than they used to. They don't come for entertainment or validation or someone to use as emotional furniture. They come because they feel something in your presence they can't quite name. Safety, solid ground, truth. They come because on some cellular level they recognize you've been to the underworld and came back with the blueprints. And maybe, just maybe, if they stay close enough, some of that fire will jump to them. But here's the thing, you're not a savior. You're not here to rescue people from wars they're not ready to fight. You learned that the hard way, didn't you? You learned you can't save people who are addicted to their own suffering, who wear their wounds like identity badges, who mistake self-destruction for personality. So now you let them watch. You let them see what immunity looks like in real time. You let them witness what happens when someone stops negotiating with their demons and starts using them as fuel. And if they're ready, if they're truly ready to do the work, you might extend a hand. But you're done carrying people who refuse to walk. They're calling you different now, cold, detached, changed, and they say it like it's an insult, like it's evidence the experience broke you permanently. But you know better. You know what they're really saying is, we can't manipulate you anymore. We can't guilt trip you anymore. We can't make you responsible for managing our emotions anymore. You used to twist yourself into shapes that made other people comfortable and it nearly killed you. You used to sacrifice your own peace to keep the peace and it nearly killed you. You used to accept crumbs and call it a feast because you were so starved for belonging and it nearly killed you. So yes, you changed. You had to. The alternative was extinction. And now that you've chosen survival over comfort, boundaries over belonging, self-preservation over people-pleasing, they don't know what to do with you. Good. Let them be confused. Let them scramble to categorize you. Let them write dissertations trying to explain how someone who went through that much darkness came out radiating this much power. They'll never understand it because understanding requires experiencing it themselves. And most of them will do anything to avoid that particular journey. Now we need to talk about what happens next, because immunity isn't the end of the story. Immunity is the beginning. You survived the sickness. You developed the antibodies. You built the resistance. And now you're standing at a crossroads most people never reach. You can either hide your immunity, downplay your transformation, shrink yourself back down to make others comfortable, or you can step fully into what you've become and watch the entire world rearrange itself around your new frequency. Most people who survive something catastrophic spend the rest of their lives apologizing for being difficult to kill. They minimize their own strength because it makes fragile people uncomfortable. They hide their scars because it reminds others of their unhealed wounds. They dim their light because when you shine too bright after surviving darkness, it exposes everyone who's still sitting in the shadows by choice. But you didn't survive the unsurvivable to play small. You didn't develop immunity to everything just to go back to being infected by everyone. This is your emergence. This is your declaration. This is the moment you stop whispering and start existing at full volume. Here's what immunity looks like in practice. And pay attention, because this is where most people stumble. Immunity means you don't take things personally anymore because you understand other people's behavior is always about them, never about you. It means you don't seek closure from people who are still lying to themselves because you've learned closure is something you give yourself, not something they owe you. It means you don't need to be understood by everyone because you've become so clear in your own truth that external validation feels like background noise. It means you don't fear being alone because you've already survived the loneliest version of loneliness and discovered that solitude is where your power actually lives. It means you don't chase opportunities that run from you because you've learned anything meant for you won't require you to beg for it. It means you don't react to provocations because you've seen behind the curtain and you know people trying to trigger you are just showing you their own wounds. This is what it means to be immune. This is what it means to move through life untouchable. Not because nothing can reach you, but because you've already been reached by the absolute worst and you're still standing here. Let me tell you about the people who can't handle your immunity. because this is critical. There are people in your life right now who are deeply disturbed by your transformation. They're not happy you survived. They're not celebrating your strength. They're quietly resentful that you didn't stay broken, that you didn't stay dependent, that you didn't stay controllable. These are the people who benefited from your sickness, who fed off your insecurity, who felt powerful only when you felt powerless. Your healing threatens their entire identity because it means they have to face themselves without you as a distraction. Watch how they try to reinfect you. Watch how they bring up old wounds just to see if you'll bleed again. Watch how they minimize your growth by saying you've changed, as if staying the same after going through hell would be something to be proud of. These people are not your people. They never were. They were just familiar, and you mistook familiarity for family, but now you know better. Now you can spot the difference between people who celebrate your immunity and people who are threatened by it. And the beautiful thing is, you don't need to cut them off dramatically or make big announcements about it. You just become unavailable to the frequency they're operating on. You stop matching their energy. You stop engaging in their chaos. You become incompatible with their vibration, and they slowly realize they can't reach you anymore. Not because you blocked them, but because you evolved past the dimension they exist in. This is where it gets really interesting. Because once you're immune, once you're operating from this new place of unshakable centeredness, you start attracting a completely different caliber of people. Not better people necessarily, but real people. People who've also been to the underworld and came back with something to show for it. People who don't need you to perform or pretend or make yourself smaller to fit their comfort zone. People who see your scars and recognize them as credentials, not liabilities. People who match your depth because they've also stared into the abyss and decided to build a house there. These are your real connections. These are the people who will ride with you. Not because it's convenient, but because there's a mutual recognition of what it takes to become immune. You'll know them by how they make you feel. Not validated, not fixed, but seen. Truly seen. They won't try to complete you because they understand you're already whole. They won't try to save you because they know you already saved yourself. They'll just walk beside you. Two immune systems recognizing each other. Two people who survived the thing that kills most people, building something new in the aftermath. Now let's address the elephant in the room, the part nobody wants to admit but everyone needs to hear. Your immunity makes some people deeply uncomfortable, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because your existence is a walking reminder of what they could have become if they'd chosen differently. You chose to face your pain head-on. They chose to medicate theirs into silence. You chose to feel everything and transmute it into power. They chose to numb everything and pretend it doesn't exist. You chose to burn down everything that wasn't serving you. They chose to stay in situations that are slowly killing them because familiar feels safer than unknown. And now, here you are, living proof that you can survive the unsurvivable. And it makes them question everything. Am I really stuck? Or have I just been afraid to move? Am I really powerless? Or have I just been giving my power away? Am I really this fragile? Or have I just been using my fragility as an excuse to avoid growth? Your immunity forces these questions to the surface, and most people hate you for it. Not consciously. They'll say they're happy for you. They'll say they're proud of you. But watch their eyes. Watch their body language. Watch how quickly they change the subject when you talk about your transformation. They can't celebrate what convicts them. Here's the thing about being immune to everything. It doesn't mean nothing ever hurts you again. It means when things hurt, you don't mistake the pain for a crisis. Pain is just information now. It's your system telling you something needs attention. Something needs adjustment. Something needs to be released. But it doesn't break you anymore. It doesn't send you spiraling into existential crisis, questioning your entire existence. You feel it. You process it. You extract the lesson, and you keep moving forward. This is the superpower nobody tells you about. Most people spend their entire lives running from pain, and that running creates more suffering than the pain itself ever could. But you learn to run toward it. You learn to meet it at the door with curiosity instead of fear. You learn that pain is just energy, and energy can be transformed into anything you want. So now, when life hits you, and it will keep hitting you because that's what life does, you don't crumble. You don't question whether you can handle it. You already know you can. You've got the antibodies. You've got the immune response. You've survived worse with less, and that knowledge makes you untouchable in the ways that actually matter. Let's talk about what you're capable of now that you're immune to the things that paralyze most people. You're capable of walking away from anything that doesn't align with your peace, and you won't lose a single night of sleep over it. You're capable of saying no without explanation, without justification, without guilt eating you alive. You're capable of sitting in uncomfortable silence while other people scramble to fill the void because you've learned that silence reveals more than words ever could. You're capable of being misunderstood and not needing to correct the record because you know who you are, and that's enough. You're capable of losing people and understanding that not everyone is meant to go where you're going. You're capable of being criticized and recognizing that criticism says more about the critic than it does about you. You're capable of taking risks that terrify others because you've already survived your worst-case scenario. You're capable of building from nothing because you've done it before when you had even less than nothing. This is what immunity gives you. Not arrogance, not coldness, not apathy, but an unshakable foundation that allows you to move through the world as if you're protected by something greater than fear. They're going to test you. You know that, right? They're going to test your immunity constantly, trying to find the cracks, trying to locate the weakness, trying to prove you're not really as healed as you claim to be. They'll bring up your past. They'll poke at your insecurities. They'll try to trigger your old patterns. They'll question your motives. They'll accuse you of being too much or not enough. They'll do everything in their power to make you react the way you used to react, to make you shrink the way you used to shrink, to make you question yourself the way you used to question yourself. And here's what you do. Nothing. You do absolutely nothing. You don't defend. You don't explain. You don't prove anything to anyone. You just exist in your truth so completely that their tests become irrelevant. You let them exhaust themselves trying to shake you while you remain unmoved. Not because you're ignoring them, but because you've transcended the entire game they're still playing. This is your new reality. You're the one who survived. You're the one who transformed. You're the one carrying immunity to everything that destroys ordinary people. And that makes you extraordinary. Not in some motivational poster way, but in a fundamental, undeniable, threatening to everyone, still choosing weakness kind of way. So own it. Step into it fully. Let your immunity show. Let your transformation speak louder than their opinions. Let your existence be the evidence that humans can endure the unendurable and emerge more powerful than before. They will talk. They will judge. They will try to diminish what you've become. Let them. Their opinions are background noise to someone who's already died and chosen to come back stronger. You're untouchable now. Not because nothing can hurt you, but because you've already been hurt by the worst possible thing, and you used it to forge yourself into something unbreakable. Welcome to the other side. Welcome to immunity. Welcome to the beginning of everything they said was impossible.